Now we're going to turn to two of our political analysts. Mayor Lightfoot is here with us again, and now joining us, former Alderwoman Leslie Hairston as well. Before we turn to politics, we want to get your thoughts on this. I know this is, as I said, a conversation we were having earlier. If I could start with you, Leslie, as someone who is very protective in the past of your ward and keeping the peace there, when you see events like this on a large scale, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that the Chicago Police Department has done a really good job. It's akin to some of the things that we did during the George Floyd looting and rioting. We protected our property. We engaged with the water department to make sure that we got the barriers up so that those are the businesses that we could protect, that we would actually get to do so. And I think that they've been very effective. They've been under a magnifying glass to see how they're going to respond. And I thought that they responded very well. You saw the police superintendent and his command staff on site, not somewhere else. They were on that front line. And I think that's the optic. That's what the message you want to send, that I'm not sitting in an office somewhere, that I am down here doing my job, protecting you and the other citizens.
Mayor, do you think there are any changes made as a result of this? Perhaps you had talked about maybe an additional fence line. If they see where maybe they have some vulnerabilities, they bring in another fence line that's closer to the one they breached so that they have less room and another impediment in front of them.
Yeah, well, look, I guarantee you from the minute this happened, people were looking at and analyzing the video to see exactly how the breach happened and making sure that they're putting conditions in place overnight so that this problem doesn't recur. I am concerned from the clips that you've shown of people coming with sledgehammers, right? Yes. Leslie and I, in our day, have been through lots of marches, lots of protests. It never occurred to me to bring a sledgehammer. So that's concerning, to be sure, but I am 100% confident that law enforcement at every level is looking at these videos and analyzing what they need to do to make things better.
Well, we'll take a turn from protests now to something that was quite a bit more touching, and I know that you all have both had your own dealings with and closer relationships with Reverend Jesse Jackson and his family. And so earlier today, he was honored. One of the first things that happened after the gavel, and there was a poignant video. We were speaking to his son, the congressman. And I want to start with you, Mayor. Now, when you see something like that, knowing how many conventions he's been to, the fact that at this point, he's unable to speak on the stage, but you could see the emotion in his face knowing that he was being recognized and honored on such a grand scale.
Well, and rightly so. I mean, Reverend Jackson is iconic. When you think about the arc of his life, you think about the things that he's done and how important he is to the city of Chicago, how many conventions. When he first ran for president, the number of people that he registered to vote that frankly wouldn't have voted at all, that has always helped the Democratic Party. A big part of his legacy is getting people to understand the importance and the power of the vote, and he was rightfully honored here today.
Leslie, you can see he is definitely aware of what's happening here, and he's soaking it in, and so was the crowd. And many of them were tearing up at this moment.
Yes, he is loved by everybody. He has been around for many, many years. Actually, my first convention was when he ran for president.
In 84?
In 84, sure was. I was in school still at the time. He lives around the corner. I've known the family for years. But this is a man that if he sees something that needs to be done, he gets out and does it. He was one of the first ones when I was fighting for a grocery store to show up and say, let's get this done.
And his legacy also lives on in the people that have come through Push, work with him, that he mentored, he taught. Mignon Moore, right, is a Push girl, I'll call her. But his legacy in the city, I think, will continue to resonate for generations to come. And his mind is still incredibly sharp. He has difficulty articulating, but man, in terms of being a strategist, understanding the political landscape.
He's still got that well-oiled machine. That's who you want getting your message out.
Right.
And he has been at so many events. While we may not be interviewing him specifically, just his presence there, it brings the media.
Yes.
And just his presence there means so much to other people, who want him to support. their issues.
Yes. Leslie, let's talk a little bit about tonight, because we haven't yet been able to get your thoughts on all of this, the time it took to bring it here, and what we see now on night one.
Well, I think that it's been very, very exciting. There's been a little difficulty with some of the delegates trying to get in. And so I think they're going to go back and look at that. But if you look at the crowd now, everybody is here. Everybody is pumped. Everybody is psyched. And I think everybody's ready to go to work.
What do you think about the slate so far? We've had Senator Dick Durbin, we had Lauren Underwood, a lot of our local people that we are familiar with, but also, they're pulling out Steve Kerr back here, who just spoke a little while ago. So it kind of shows the star power mixed in with, of course, Hillary Clinton and President Joe Biden.
Well, one of the things that I think that the National Democratic Party has always done is has provided wonderful entertainment and a lot of surprises for the people that spend a lot of time and money to travel, to come, and to be here, and they do a good job of that. They do a great job of that.
Mayor, let me just ask you something we talked about earlier this evening. You said you were at an event tonight, and you said there was sort of this philosophy among the women voters there. Let's do this. Yes. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think women all over the country are super energized. Many of them are harkening back and remembering 2016 and the great disappointment that many of us felt when Hillary was not able to won the popular vote, but didn't win the Electoral College. And I think that they now see in Kamala Harris is an opportunity to frankly right a long-standing historic wrong. When you think about countries like Israel and Great Britain and other places that have had women leaders of their country, and the United States, the bastion of democracy, hasn't yet, it's time. And I think that's what a lot of women feel.
Well, speaking of one of the more outspoken women right now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just took the stage, and as we can see here, this is a live view. A lot of cheering going on for that. A lot of these strong women interspersed throughout the whole week, but definitely starting off strong with Hillary Clinton, and someone who, while polarizing, has gotten the attention of many on both the right and left.
She does what she does very well. We may not always agree with her and some of the positions that she takes, but when you think about the fact that she took down a long-standing incumbent and has really used her platform to really further her interests and her agenda, you got to give her props for that.
Where does this election turn, do you think? Where's the voting bloc that, if Kamala Harris is to win, she needs to get?
I think you're going to start having to look at the younger people, getting them involved, getting them interested. I had conversation with some young ladies today, and they said, well, once we saw that Megan Thee Stallion was involved, then, we got interested.
Yeah.
And so then I explained to them a little bit more about voting, because let's face it, they have never known a time when they couldn't vote. But for those of us that came up in that in-between time, those of us that fought for Roe versus Wade, and now those of us that are seeing the repercussions of it being taken away, it means a lot to us. It means a lot to us. But I think that's going to be, the women are going to be there, but we're going to get the young people.
That strategy with social media shortly after, these phrases like brat that resonate with the younger people. Mayor, when you think about looking at the demographic, even comparing it to when you're trying to reach, voters here, how important do you feel that younger demographic is?
I'm just going to say the social media game of this campaign in the last couple of weeks has been on point. I've been asking all around, is this a new team? What are they doing? Is this a new strategy? They have been really striking the right balance, appealing, of course, to younger voters, but also just trying to create those viral moments that have really been taking off. I think they're doing a phenomenal job reaching a cross-section of the electorate. Where it's going to lie? Those swing states.
Well, but the Twitterverse has done a lot of it for them, too.
Yes,
this is
right.
what happens when you get this organic sort of support and energy behind a candidate. And as we talked about a little while ago, the American public have been saying for months now they didn't want either one of these two, Biden or Trump, and now you have an alternative, and it does seem to have energized many people.
What's taking off a lot is memes. I mean,
Right.
the meme game out there and seeing the creative talent, and frankly, this convention for the first time is creating a space for these creators to do their thing. They've given them prime seating down on the floor of the convention. They understand that the way that they're going to be able to communicate is not the old ways. They've got to use these new ways that young people, folks who are way hipper than me, are communicating, and they're doing it, I think, very, very well.
Well, this has been a great conversation having you both up here, two power players that we've seen in our city, so we appreciate you both for being
I
with
bow
us.
and give homage to the gentlewoman from the 4th Ward.
The 5th Ward, and we've been
That's right,
together
yes.
for more than 30-something years as initially young lawyers.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We're contemporaries, and it's just been fascinating to watch what's going on, and we ride into the sunset a little less burden in our dotage, but we're both having fun.
Yeah. Well,
Good to have you both.
Yeah, 3 more days, so
Yes.
we'll look forward to your insight on all of those.
Thank you both.
And thank you all for joining us here on CBS News Chicago. The Stream.
We will continue our live coverage of the Democratic National Convention here at the United Center throughout the evening. Keep it on the stream here. We'll also join you for our news at 10 o'clock.